What I'll do is I'll give you a high level understanding about how exactly to navigate around Revit in this chapter, so that by the end of it, you'll be ready to start placing walls and columns and floors and actually start modeling, right? So as you open Revit, this is the first screen that we see. What I'll do is, in order to show you, I'm gonna open a new template. So I'll use the architectural template, click OK. It'll open the project. It's just a template. So with this template, you'll see three sections. You'll see a properties tab over here. You'll see a project browser down here, and you'll see this big ribbon up the top. So what I'll do is, in the next two videos, I'll focus on the properties and the project browser. But for now, I'm going to focus on this ribbon, right? So with this ribbon, you'll see that there's different tabs. So you can select these different tabs and you have different options and different buttons within the ribbon. You'll also notice that there's different tiles, what we call, and it's separated with this small faint line. So you'll see this build, circulation, model, room area. For some reason, if you can't see these different tiles, you can right click and you can click show panel tiles, right click, show panel tiles, right? So it'll turn it off and turn it on, just these names. So what we'll do is, I'll give you sort of a high level understanding about what each of these are. So if you're an architect, you'll spend a lot of your time in this first tab, this architectural tab, placing doors, walls and windows and modeling. If you're an engineer, that's when we start deviating towards the second, third, fourth, fifth tab, right? So if you're a civil engineer, you will need to use this structure and steel. If you're a MEP engineer, a HVAC engineer or a plumber, you'll probably need to use ductwork and pipework. So you'll be using the systems tab in order to run ductwork in the ceiling space, pipework in the ceiling space, everything like that. All architects and engineers are going to need all these other tabs, right? If you're collaborating in the cloud, for example, you'll need to know how to use this in order to annotate, add annotations, do detailed sections. You'll need to use this annotate tab. Some of these other tabs, I won't go through every single one of them, but you'll understand as we go through these tutorials exactly when and where to use these other tabs and the tools within the other tabs, right? You can just have a play around for now. The first thing I do want to say is, if you go to the architectural tab, you'll see walls, doors, windows, right? In some of these buttons or some of these things within each of the tiles, you'll see wall and then you'll see a small drop down, right? So if you select this drop down, there's different types of walls. You have an architectural wall, you have a structural wall, you have a wall by face. But if you don't select that and you just select this top one, you will default to the first one on the drop down. So you will default to using an architectural wall when placing it, right? One important thing to note is, you'll probably notice as you hover over these different tools, it'll come up with a small dialog box telling you exactly what the tool is, what it does, and it'll sort of say also WA in between it, right? So in this case, WA is the shortcut I can use on my keyboard in order to use this really quickly. So instead of going to the architecture tab and selecting wall, I can just type in WA on my keyboard, and what that's going to do is it's going to open this wall functionality, right? And you'll see if I click exit, that's how you get out of the tool once you select it. If I just select wall here, it'll open the same, it'll sort of mimic the same thing as what you saw before, right? So what are we seeing here? Once you select that tool, it opens this modify place wall tab, which is a tab we didn't see before, but now we're seeing it because this tab gives you some tools that you can use in order to help you modify and help you sort of model, right? So as you can see, there's lines and there's rectangles and there's circles. Keep in mind, I'm placing a wall. I selected the wall command, right? If I want to place a wall, I can place it like this and I can click escape if I just want to place that one wall. But if I want to place a wall really fast, like a whole box, I can use this rectangle command and I can place a wall like this and then click escape, because then it'll go away out of the editing mode, and I can place a wall as a circle, click escape, and you can place walls of different geometry using these different geometry options over here, and there's a bunch of other options here which we'll go into later. But pretty much all you need to understand is it opens the modify tab because it gives you some options you can use to place different walls and be dynamic with your modeling, right? If you want to escape out of this modify tab, and let's just say that I don't want to place any more walls, I can click escape once more and it'll take me back to what you saw before, right? The alternative is if we're in that editing mode again, I'll click wall. If I just click modify, I go back out of it. So this modify is just like the escape on your keyboard if your escape button is not working or something like that. Usually my finger is always on the escape button so that I can escape, because I use a lot of tools and we use a lot of tools when doing Revit and modeling. So your finger should always be on the escape button, or most of the time, right? So I placed a few walls here just to show you what each of the tools can do. You can go around and play with these different tools. If you go to the systems, you'll see that you can place some ductwork, you can place some air terminals, you can do whatever you want. But we'll go through each of them when we start modeling real projects, right? So this is just a high-level overview of this ribbon. What you'll see is some of these tiles are quite small. They've only allocated a small space for these tiles, but if you select this, there's more options underneath, right? And it's because we don't actually use this tile that much, so they haven't allocated that much space to it, but you can select this drop-down menu and you have some other space over here, more space pretty much. That's all there is with this ribbon. One more thing that I did want to show you is this quick access toolbar on the top. You have this quick access toolbar which you can actually add to. If you have some sort of tool, let's just say on the systems tab I wanted to add this duct to this quick access toolbar, you can go and select this drop down. You can go to customize quick access toolbar and you can select or remove anything you want from this quick access toolbar, right? And you can select OK. One more thing you can do is you can show it below the ribbon. So it'll move it below the ribbon now, and you can select this drop down, you can go show above the ribbon and it'll move it back above the ribbon, right? Those are pretty much the things on the top of the Revit screen. You have your quick access toolbar and you have this major ribbon. Hopefully you understand exactly, or have a high level understanding about what each of them do. In the next couple of videos, I'll go through the properties and the project browser so you understand exactly how to, use the walls and see the properties of the walls and navigate between different sheets as well.